Dr. Muhammad Hisham Dafterdar, Consultant, Endowment for Arab Modern Renaissance, Kingdom of Bahrain, and Tuan Haji Muhammad Alami Musa, President, Islamic Religious Council of Singapore, Republic of Singapore. And to moderate this session, our moderator is Professor Tan Sri Dato Dzulkifli Abdul Razak, Vice Chancellor, Albukhary International University, Malaysia. Prof, I pass the control to you.
Thank you. Distinguished guests, excellencies, fellow panelists, participant brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen. Let me first of all, on behalf of the panelists, welcome you to this particular session, harnessing the Waqf Fund for Muslim Ummah. This is a session which I thought would be of interest to all of us. Every one of us have heard the word Waqf before, but I guess not every one of us understand what Waqf means. We still understand it in the same relationship with one another. For this particular session, I think we will have very distinguished panelists who will enlighten us about Waqf. They are themselves Islamic scholars or otherwise practitioners who have done work a great deal on Waqf, and we'll be able to listen to them and gain a lot more insights of what Waqf is all about and what it can do for us. I guess it is a very timely discussion because given the kind of financial difficulties that everybody is facing today, maybe Waqf seems to be one of the untapped resources as far as moving the Ummah forward. I will not take much time in trying to introduce the speakers to you, given the announcement that the bus will leave at 5:30 for the gala dinner, and we are already starting very late. In any case, let me just briefly introduce the speakers in the orders that they had been sitting here. We will start off with Dr. Muhammad Hisham Dafterdar, Consultant, Endowment of Arab Modern Renaissance, United of Bahrain, Kingdom of Bahrain, and also after that followed by Mr. Hafiz, Senajid, Zajimovic, Director of Waqf Foundation, Bosnia, Herzegovina. I think Mr. Hafiz will be speaking in Arabic, so you can turn to channel 2 for the translation. And last but not least, Tuan Haji Muhammad Alami Musa, President, Islamic Religious Council of Singapore, Republic of Singapore, who will be speaking next. We have organized the session as such that the first session will be a kind of an overview from each speakers in the order that I've just stated, given the insights of how do they organize Waqf, how relevant is Waqf to their work and their organization, and what are the issues that we can look forward in trying to organize Waqf to move forward, and all the other experiences that they've got. Within the 5 minutes, they'll give you a kind of a summary, which will then followed by a deeper discussion from their own experience, the highlights of what they have gone through, and what are the things that we should take recognition of as far as handling Waqf funds is concerned for the Ummah. And the last half an hour, we will reserve for you to ask questions so that we can get more pertinent issues coming out of you if you're interested in doing the same work as far as the three gentlemen is concerned. So without further ado, can I just invite Dr. Muhammad Hisham to start off with the first round of your oversights on the Waqf funds.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil mursaleen Sayyidina wa Nabiyyina Muhammad alayhi afdalus salati wa akramut taslim. Wa amma ba'd, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, brothers and sisters. First of all, I want to explain briefly what is Waqf, because until now many people do not understand really the true meaning of the Waqf. Waqf has been described as the permanent or now temporary donation of an asset for a charitable cause, a charitable cause that Islam considers as charitable. And therefore, one of the characteristics or the requirements is that the Waqf must be preserved, and only the benefit of that asset that can be disbursed for the cause for which it was dedicated in the first place. So all of the Islamic mazhabs have agreed on this concept of preserving the asset and dispersing the usufruct, or the benefit, al-manfa'a, from the that is derived from the waqf. Now this waqf also has what is called a dhimma. Dhimma means a personality of its own. It means you don't have to say Waqf Foundation or Waqf Trust or Waqf. The word Waqf itself implies that there is a personality, a legal personality called Waqf. It has been agreed that the Waqf can, in its own right, has rights, and also it has obligation. The Waqf can sue people in its own name, and it can be sued. The people who are managing this asset, they are not the owners of the Waqf, they are the trustees, and they have to abide by the set of conditions that the Waqf dictates in the first place. Now, Awqaf has been a feature of Islamic civilization. Awqaf, we all read about it, you know, has in the past, has financed education, healthcare, research, poverty relief. It has even financed defense. Matter of fact, Awqaf has done all that what nowadays ministries of government are doing. And what happened? Over the years, and perhaps due to the legacy of colonization of Muslim countries, the role of Waqf has diminished, has really been put aside. And Awqaf, instead of being the main financier of the Ummah, became itself a liability. And now we find that there are huge assets lying under our feet, and yet the benefit coming from this wealth is negligible. And hence the reason for this conference, how we can harness. Matter of fact, I do take objection even to the word harness, because harness means, you know, something going astray. I would have rather seen the word, you know, using or utilizing or exploiting the Waqf, because most of the Waqf assets are really idle, dormant, undeveloped. Many of the Awqaf properties, they have been squatted upon. At best, they are used as parking lots or rubbish dumps. Therefore, you know, there is something amiss that we must do in order to really bring this wealth into service of the Ummah.
Dr. Hisham, can I just stop you there for now?
Yes.
Let's listen to the second speaker. We'll come back to you in a while. Right? Can I invite now Hafiz Senajid?
Yes, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I will speak in Arabic, inshallah, because I study in Arabic countries, and Waqf is Arabic word. And you cannot compare this word with the foundation 100%. أواصل كلامي باللغة العربية كما ذكرت، وأرجو أن تفهمونني إن شاء الله. أوافق كل ما قاله الأخ الذي تكلم قبلي، إلا أنني أضيف إلى تعريف الوقف شرعيا كما قال أو ذكره الفقهاء في كتبهم. الوقف هو حبس ممتلكات أو إيراداتها لصالح المستفيدين محددين أو لأغراض محددة بغية اكتساب مرضات الله. لماذا ذكرت هذا التعريف؟ ذكرته حتى أبين أو أميز بين الوقف والفونديشن. في الفونديشن أنت تستطيع في كل وقت أن تغلقها أو تلغيها، أما وقف لا تستطيع، لأنه وقف هو مال الله تعالى. وأيضا هناك فرق آخر في الفونديشن، أنت لما تؤسس فونديشن تؤسسها لصالحك أنت أو لصالح الجماعة أو لأغراض أخرى. أما وقف فلما واقف يوقف شيئا هو يوقفه لمرضات الله سبحانه وتعالى، وهذا فرق أساسي. ولذلك أنا لست من مؤيدي الازدواج بين الوقف والفونديشن. طبعا يسرني كثيرا أن أكلمكم اليوم عن الوقف في البوسنة والهرسك. ونحن لما نتكلم عن الأوقاف في البوسنة نقسمها إلى فترتين، فترة ما قبل الحروب وفترة ما بعد الحروب. وأنتم تعرفون كلكم أن البوسنة مرت بالحروب تقريبا بعد العثمانيين 10 إبادة الجماعية حصلنا عليها. والحرب الأخيرة الشرسة حصلت قبل 20 سنة بيننا وبين الصرب وبين الكروات البوسنة. فنحن خرجنا من الحروب هذه كلها ب95%، وأوقافنا مهدمة أو مكتسبة أو مصادرة أو مؤممة من قبل الدولة. فهكذا خرجت المشيخة الإسلامية من الحروب وفي يدها فقط 5% من الأوقاف. وبعد الحرب الأخيرة اتجهنا إلى اتجاه جديد، وهو تأسيس الأوقاف جديدة ومحاولة استعادة ممتلكات الأوقاف من قبل الدولة الظالمة. حتى هذه الدولة الجديدة التي نسميها ديمقراطية هي أيضا لا تريد أن تأتي أو تصدر قانونا نسميه restitution، استعادة ممتلكات الأوقاف. ولدي presentation أريد أريكم بعض الأوقاف في البوسنة وهي ما زالت موجودة. في السلايد الثاني لست أدري كيف نحرك هذا، ما عندي جهاز.
We have the next slides, please.
أيوة شكرا. Thank you. فبإمكانكم أن تروا بعض الصور من الأوقاف. طبعا الأوقاف أغلبها أسست وأنشئت في زمن العثمانيين في القرن ال15، ثم بين القرن ال15 إلى القرن ال20 يعني أسست كثير من الأوقاف مثل هذه المباني. فأغلب هذه المباني تستخدمها الدولة. وهناك في السلايد التالي ترون بعض الأوقاف المهدمة في الحرب الأخيرة الشرسة. وفي في السلايد الثالث ترون الأوقاف الجديدة وبعضها مرممة. فترى مثلا سكن الطلاب في الأعلى، وسكن أيضا والمدرسة، وهناك محلات تجارية، وهناك كومبلكس رجال الأعمال، وهناك منح دراسية، وهناك استصلاح الأرض الزراعي. فكل هذه الأوقاف طبعا هذا اتجاه جديد في البوسنة. في نفس الوقت نحن نستعد لاستعادة ممتلكات الأوقاف القديمة، وفي نفس الوقت نؤسس الأوقاف الجديدة. وشكرا.
Thank you so much. Can I call now Tuan Haji?
Thank you, Tuan Sri. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'd like to start by saying that we need to embark on a journey of transformation to harness Waqf funds for the Muslim Ummah. And we have heard the previous speaker saying that there is a waning of interest with respect to bequeathing real estate properties for the Waqf assets. And this is one of the trends, how modern society has evolved and how it has been quite burdensome for Muslims to bequeath their real estate properties. So we need to go beyond real estate properties, and one significant way which we have tried and successfully in Singapore is this whole idea of the cash Waqf. He has popularized and rekindled the spirit of creating Waqf, and alhamdulillah, ordinary Muslims are coming to contribute in sums that are not a burden to them. Now, can I have the... But of course, in a journey for transformation, we need levers of change. The kind of transformation which I mentioned just now, which we had done in Singapore, I can explain further later on, but really need levers of change to effect or to achieve this transformation. We need strong legal framework because we really need to have the powers to effect the transformation and an authority of sorts to enforce the law, to unlock the good potential of our Waqf assets. And here, we need to give the power to the Waqf organizer to manage a vast Waqf created by other parties, appoint, remove trustees, and so on. Second, we need pro-development policies that, for example, development-friendly urban renewal policy as a stimulus for the redevelopment or development of Waqf properties. Now, Waqf in real estate in urban may enjoy a rising booming market, so we need to take advantage. Not to do so would be a real shame. And of course, we need to be prudent in terms of not to be beaten by the market. Next, we need progressive fatwa thinking, and here we have to acknowledge that not all Waqf assets are performing. They can be giving low yield, and the question is, can we sell them off? The traditional answer is no, because we are obliged to hold on ownership perpetually. But can we dispose of the Waqf assets and make use of the sales proceed to buy the freehold real estate properties which can give us higher yield? The fatwa done by Singapore, by our Sharia panel, allows for an assets migration or istibdal to transform non-performing, low-yielding Waqf to higher-yielding Waqf. Next, Waqf is assets rich but can be cash poor, so funding becomes a big challenge, and how do we create innovative financing packages? A package that involves Baitul Mal, the financial market, Waqf trusts that have investable income, and NGOs that have reserves. We had successfully done a Musharaka bond, raising $35 million from the market in 2002 for Waqf redevelopment apartment, mosque commercial complex. 35 million, it's worth about $80 million today. There are people who want to buy, but we still want to hold on to that Waqf property. Next, private sector collaboration. The authority or the Waqf managers cannot handle everything. We need to get the experts, the professionals in a kind of collaboration between the Waqf organizer or the authority with the private sector. The authority can be the regulator, can be the trustee, but leaving all the development, managerial, and operational roles to the private sector. And last but not least, most important, good governance, because Waqf is all about trust and need to uphold the high standards of governance, and a code of governance is much needed to ensure discipline and performance. And finally, I mentioned earlier about recreating the concept, and one of the ideas that we had successfully done in Singapore is the mosque building fund. We raised about $155 million to build 23 mosques, not a single cent from government. And each Muslim throughout their life will contribute something like $25,000, and they have a stake in the Waqf mosque that we built in Singapore. This is the mosque building fund as a model of a cash Waqf. And last 3 months ago, we launched another cash Waqf called the Waqf Ilmu, the Waqf Ilm, and this is ready to support education of Muslim children in Singapore with a decent or small capital or startup of about $3 million, but we hope to grow it to about $25 million or so in the next 5 to 8 years. So I think this is a recreating concept. So I'll stop here and I pass it back to the moderator. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We will now go to the second round of the discussion by getting the speakers to elaborate and highlight a little bit more of what they said on the earlier rounds. Can I now invite Dr. Hisham to talk about some of the highlights in the work that you have done?
Yes, the importance of the Awqaf sector today is seen in terms of the huge assets it controls, in its social expenditure, in the number of people it employs, and its significant contribution to the economy, which adds between 10 to 14% of the GDP in some countries. Now, with such an economic output and growth in number, size, and diversity of organizations entrusted with Awqaf properties for social programs, Awqaf as a faith-based sector has generated interest beyond just philanthropists and fiqh scholars. Actually, Awqaf is no longer considered as exclusively a religious sector. As a reflection of its increasing contribution to the economy, Awqaf as a non-profit institution of civil society has come to be known as the third sector. This is as distinct from the government sector, sometimes called the first sector or the private sector. Now, can Awqaf go beyond real estate? Yes, definitely, Awqaf can go beyond real estate. But let me say this, why Awqaf has not really moved very steadily in that direction, mainly because there has been some differences of opinions about the permissibility of cash as a waqf, because some jurists who held different view, they thought that a waqf must be preserved, and cash, the benefit of cash can only be derived by using it, and therefore you are consuming the waqf itself. The same as food. Food, you cannot make it as a waqf, because to get the benefit from it, you have to eat it. But the other jurists, and these are the majority, they started looking at waqf differently, at cash differently, and that cash itself represents wealth, and cash is, in modern economic terminology, is an asset class that can be converted from being a wasted or wasting asset, a consumable asset, into an investment asset that represents growth and benefit. So we find now that this cash waqf is gaining momentum, and the pendulum appears to be swinging in favor of the cash waqf. Now, there is a little bit of concern here, because while Awqaf organizations are sitting on a lot of cash, this cash is not really finding its way properly into the market. The investment of this cash is being really eroded, and some people can be excused for thinking, popularly that, okay, if we have money, therefore we must be making money. Where in fact they could be really eroding the corpus of the waqf if they do not get it correctly into the market. Because many of the Awqaf properties, Awqaf assets, are in trust of people who are not, financial experts, and sometimes they are driven by their belief on what should be done with that asset. And anyway, Awqaf trustees, they are mainly concerned with the distribution of the benefit rather than, the investment of the asset itself. This is one of the difficulties. Now, one way of really controlling this, and this is what Awqaf is doing very effectively now, is that they are partnering now partnering with the private sector with benefit to both, because the private sector can then take these Awqaf assets, develop them, and let Awqaf concentrate on its social work, while the private sector can take care of all the exigencies of the business, be it mobilizing resources, management, competition, risk exposure, what have you. Awqaf does not have to do that. The private sector can do that. So we are finding now that what is coming to be, I would like to call APP, Awqaf Private Sector Partnerships. These have worked very well in many countries. Here in Malaysia, we saw a very beautiful example of Tabung Haji together with Bank Islam putting a beautiful office tower in the Golden Triangle in Kuala Lumpur. And there are other examples in different countries where Awqaf assets have been developed by the private sector for a period, and then at the end of the period, the private sector hands it the asset back, lock, stock, and barrel, so that it can become a permanent source of benefit for the Awqaf. So there is a lot of cooperation, and here, when we are involving the private sector with the Awqaf business, we are not really calling on the Awqaf, on the private sector to be charitable or to be altruistic, but we are really finding what I would like to call marriage of convenience with benefit to both under the banner of Awqaf. And this is one way for Awqaf to go forward. Let the experts do the job. Awqaf are good in distributing, in going to the grassroots of the problem, but when it comes to investment, to development, this needs special expertise, and this is what the private sector can provide.
Thank you so much. Maybe I can just jump to Tuan Haji, because you're talking about the levers of change, exactly what Dr. Hisham is talking about. Can you just continue with that one?
Yeah. I agree with Dr. Hisham that the whole idea of cash waqf is, there are two schools of thought to the idea of cash waqf. We realize this, and our Sharia panel realized this. But for the unique circumstances that we're in, our last waqf was created in 1994, and for more than a decade, 14 years, there was no waqf, because the real estate is really a premium in my country, in Singapore. Dato PM Najib this morning was saying that for 1/4 the price of a house in Singapore, you can get a small house in Singapore, you can get a bungalow in Malaysia, because of the size of the land. So our ulama, our Sharia panel sat down and had a debate on this, and at the end of the day, the decision was we have to, rethink, and recreate, and so there was a kind of decision that we need to go in the direction of the cash waqf with conditions. Objective for the cash waqf must be clearly spelled out. For example, if it's for education, it has to be for education, clearly spelled out, so that the contributors or the waqif would know that this is the objective of the Waqf and who the beneficiaries are. Clearly spelled out right at the beginning. And of course, we leave it to the private sector for the investment and complying with our investment guidelines, minimum of 2 targets: one, capital preservation, and second, Sharia compliance. So these are among the kind of things, this is a summary of the discussion, the debate that went on. And we decided to go fully into cash Waqf, and alhamdulillah, the spirit has rekindled. You know, no hassle about it. We make it very easy for the ordinary folks to share and gain the barakah of creating Waqf. And not only confined to the upper echelon of the property owning class. Now, but we have to be very careful here and be prudent because we're talking about cash. And I fully agree with Dr. Hisham again that we need to leave what is best to be done by the private sector to the private sector. And here we have a kind of tripartite collaboration between the Waqf, the trustees, the regulator, and the private sector. And a lot of the work of harnessing the potential of Waqf fund, of Waqf assets is left to the private sector. So we have investment banks, we have finance houses to manage our funds, capital preservation, and alhamdulillah, it is generating good revenue, good income, and it has helped a lot in terms of the socio-religious and educational development of Muslims in Singapore. Now, but I cannot overemphasize the need for a strong legal framework that is needed to manage, to moderate, to calibrate the whole Waqf sector, because we have trustees and we have to ensure that the trustees are trustworthy, you know, and complying with good standards of governance. We have taken trustees to court. We have removed the trusteeship from groups of people who are not trustworthy. And it's important because you want to harness the potential value of Waqf. You have to be in a vantage position to see overall, so you can do it on the macro basis, and you need the powers as an authority, and you enforce the powers. So I emphasize the importance of recreating the concept in this transformation journey, this tripartite collaboration, and the need for strong legal framework.
Okay, thank you very much. I'd like to move to Hafiz Senajid. You talk about briefly about difference between Waqf and foundation, and there are comparisons between the Bill Gates Foundation and Waqf. Can you comment a little bit about what are the differences between endowment as you understand it today and what is Waqf in that particular context?
أولا إذا في مجال هناك أريد أن نتجه إلى ما كانوا يتكلمون عنه إخواني الكرام، وهو وقف النقود أو تقسيم الوقف أساسا يقسم إلى الأوقاف الممتلكات المنقولة وممتلكات غير المنقولة بما فيها النقود. علماء العثمانيون والأحناف يعني أجازوا وقف النقود حتى في القرون الأولى، يعني في القرن الخامس عشر. فنحن طبعا لما نحن مذهب الحنفي نتجه إلى هذا المذهب، ووقف النقود عندنا جائز ومنتشر جدا في البوسنة والهرسك، ولست أدري ما هو السبب الرئيسي أنه لا يجيزونه، لأن النقود أيضا هي المال كما هو العقارات هي المال، يعني فكله فكلهم يجتمعون في واحد وهو المال. وكل شيء يعتمد على النقود أو هو الأساس يعني. فنحن طبعا موجود عندنا كثير ومنتشر وقف النقود، وإنسان الذي يوقف النقد طبعا نحن نسأله لأي غرض يريده، هو مثلا يقول يريد للتعليم، فنحن بعدما هو قال ماذا يريده نؤسس مثلا صندوقا لمساعدة الطلاب الفقراء أو مساعدة الطلاب المتفوقين، يعني حسب رغبته هو. فطبعا بالنسبة للأوقاف غير العقارات مثل ما ذكره دكتور نجيب، هناك عندنا عدة أنواع من الأوقاف غير العقارات، وهي كلها تقريبا صناديق مثل صندوق تعليم، ويوزع من خلاله أكثر من 1000 منحة دراسية لطلاب الدراسات العليا. ثم هناك صندوق مساعدة الفقراء، صندوق طباعة الكتب الإسلامية، صندوق تشجيع الوقف وغيره. هناك صندوق للتشجيع على الإنجاب أو تشجيع على تزويج العازبين والعازبات، ثم لمساعدة الغارمين، ثم لتمويل عمل المحامين في قضايا استعادة ممتلكات الأوقاف. وهناك صندوق عندنا وغريب ممكن لدى الكثير منكم هنا، هو صندوق لتشجيع إعادة المسلمين البوشناك إلى مناطق التي هجروا منها أثناء الحرب الأخيرة. فنحن طبعا الوضع هو الذي يحكم، فأنت بإمكانك أن تتجه إلى العقارات فقط وتبني بنيان وتطلب من الناس وتشجع دعوة الناس إلى العقارات، ولكن نحن الآن أكثر بحاجة إلى الأوقاف غير العقارات. أما بالنسبة للفرق بين المؤسسات وفرق بين الوقف، طبعا الأتراك مثلا هم يجمعون بين كلمة الوقف والفونديشن أو المؤسسة، لكن نحن طبعا نجد كثير من المؤسسات في البوسنة لأنها أسهل تعامل معها بينها وبين الدولة. أما كما ذكرت هناك فرق بينها وبين الوقف، ولذلك نحن نستخدم كلمة الوقف ولا نترجمها، لأن الوقف هو مال الله، أما مؤسسة فهو على الأساس وأغلبها هي أموال الناس شركاء في عمل ما. هناك طبعا مسائل أخرى ممكن نتكلم عنها بعد إذا أردتم أو الآن.
Okay, we have just completed this second round. Because of time constraint, I would now like to open it to the floor. If there's any question to be asked, could you raise it? Maybe you want to introduce yourself and direct your question to any one of the panels. Can anyone? Yes, please. Is there a mic somewhere?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I'm Dr. Ghazali again.
There's a gentleman here. Can you?
All right, carry on.
Yes. But we need your mic though.
No problem. We have to walk off the mic now.
I am Muhammad Zakiyatullah. I'm from Bangladesh. My question is this. What is the necessity and importance of Waqf in a welfare state like Malaysia, Singapore? And in general, my belief is that this is the responsibility of the government to do welfare to all the segments of the population. Why especially this fund should go for someone? A self-respecting person may say, why I shall be getting myself educated with the donation of some private person? Because the state must take responsibility of myself and for my welfare. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any comments from the panel?
First of all, as we said, Waqf is a faith-based activity. People create Waqf whether the government says yes or no, because Waqf is a way of coming closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is why people will, irrespective, even if the state may cover everything, still there are needs. And actually, it has been proven that the Waqf institution is able to go to grassroots problems that the state itself is unable to do. Awqaf, they do have a lot of trust from the community. They can communicate better with the, with Waqf people rather than to talk to a government department. So we will continue to see the need for Waqf. And matter of fact, even in the welfare states of, what is known, even in the Scandinavian countries, let's say, where the state takes care of everything, you will find that there are still what they call the not-for-profit sector, the civil society organizations, the NGOs. Why are they there? And the government is taking care of everything. And why do you think these governments give tax relief to the charitable sector, to organizations? Because they are taking a burden off the government in any case. And if the government is going to do everything, the people will have to pay for it somehow. They'll tax them more. So Awqaf, being a voluntary sector, really does relieve the society from a lot of tax burden as well. So there will always be room for Awqaf, irrespective. But most of all is the donor. We have to remember that Awqaf is a voluntary sector. It's something that people do of their own free will. Nobody forces you to make a waqf. Zakat is different. Zakat you still have to do. Shall we not pay zakat because the government is taking care of the asnaf of zakat? No, still we have to do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Hafiz.
هذا سؤال الأخ مهم جدا خاصة بالنسبة إلينا وأنا أريد أعلق عليه. نحن نسيت أن أذكره في البداية، دولة البوسنة هي دولة علمانية وإدارة الأوقاف في يد مشيخة إسلامية، يعني المشيخة الإسلامية هي التي تدير الأوقاف. ولو لم تكن هناك أوقاف في البوسنة لما أسست كثير من المدن في البوسنة أسست وأنشئت على أساس الأوقاف. هكذا نرى دور الوقف في تأسيس وإنشاء المدن. حتى أنت ترى في البوسنة اليوم ما زالت كلمة الوقف في اسم المدينة، فمثلا تجد مدينة غورني وقف، دوني وقف، وارسار وقف، وهكذا بقيت منذ زمن العثمانيين. وبالنسبة إلينا دور الوقف مهم جدا، خاصة وأن الدولة كما سألت الدولة لا تغطي احتياجات الناس ولا تغطي أنشطة مشيخة إسلامية. فالمشيخة الإسلامية بسبب الأوقاف تغطي وتمول التعليم، وعندنا أكثر من 8 مدارس إسلامية ثانوية، وعندنا 3 كليات إسلامية، وعندنا كثير من المؤسسات التعليمية. الدولة لا تغطي احتياجات الموظفين ولا مدرسين ولا طلاب. فالمشيخة الإسلامية هي التي تغطي، ولم تكن هناك أوقاف لما استطاعت المشيخة الإسلامية أن تغطي وتنشئ كثير من الأنشطة. فنحن لسنا دولة إسلامية يعني مثل الدول الإخوان. فأنا أرى أيضا ووافق تماما أن الدولة هي المسؤولة عن احتياجات الناس وعن التعليم وعن الأمور الأساسية هذه.
Thank you. Can I go to Dr. Zajimovic?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to give an intervention for a moment to all of you. See, when we talk about Waqf, we have to understand, my dear colleagues of the panel, we are talking about 2 economic systems. What we understand, the current contemporary system of capitalism, the assumption of man as an economic animal, second is a profit-driven thing. Under Waqf, we have to understand is an Islamic ethical doctrine where economics is one of the subsystems. Therefore, as what Dr. Dafterdar was saying, there's a difference between charity, there's a difference between zakat, and there's a difference in Waqf. Waqf is gift to God for men today in this world and the next world. So the element of what I get for it is no longer a tenable subject. Secondly, one of the things about here to understand that Waqf or endowment is a result, Mr. Chairman, of wealth creation ability. We know for a fact in the Ottoman civilization, there are many people who remember themselves have the mujahids of wealth they give to mankind. Even the story of how a waqf for the birds, even a story of the waqf for the maid who broke the plates to pay. And therefore, the element of man at that time, he is a superior being. He is not a money-making animal. Secondly, the nature of wealth. We have here a heritage of landed assets. In contemporary development, the nature of assets class have gone. Many of you have known today that even the wind today is an asset. Have we migrated from agriculture, which is a factor-driven economy, to the industrial-driven economy, to the knowledge-driven economy, and ultimately, what some of you mentioned just now about trust economy, we like to propose humanity economy, where the whole thing is done in the ethical ethos. Therefore, the whole range of classes assets can be pious endowment for all to use. Therefore, in Malaysia, for your information, you can come to our booth. We are the promoter of corporate waqf. Why? Because today, the nature of the global economy is now corporatized entity. It is not individual, it is not the state, but a big conglomerate of interest, both whether the players, the shareholders, and the state altogether. We are now promoting in Malaysia, for your information, for all the colleagues who come from Malaysia, we have two success stories. One, we have the Tabung Haji. We have 1 million pilgrims out of 14 million Muslims waiting to perform Hajj. They will take a cycle of 50 years to perform Hajj. The point is that the success of the government economic policy have made them eligible for Hajj management. You ask me now, for the ladies who are business people, or the men here, where would you use the wealth that they have? Not enough in the Tabung Haji, but we must create and revive waqf so that Muslims in Malaysia can invest. And our motto for waqf is a waqf of human dignity. So we will take care that our martabat or darajat in Malay, we are now a self-performing Muslim, not a Malay-driven who thinks right is their business. That is what our target is. All Muslims in Malaysia must go for waqf. Why? That is the way how to relieve our own indignity, becoming a servant of the state. Third, today, what we want today is that the new cycle of economic development is the ultimate of serving God. Today, for your information, that's why we have to introduce, even to our friends in the West. When Mr. Adam Smith, Mr. Chairman, produced capitalism, what did the West men do today? They forgot Prophet Adam and became the Smiths. And what do Smiths do? They dig the factories and destroy mankind. We like to bring back some sanity to the economic model of the world today, waqf called pious endowment. We do not like to be Mr. Gate or Mr. Wafford who give as the matter of after-fact charity. Muslims today, whether they are from the blacks or the whites or the yellow, you put the element of ethical premise in your business decision first, rather after the fact. That is why waqf will be the sustaining model of civilization has God so ordained. Thank you very much. That is the challenge for all of us to tell to the world. Thank you.
Thank you. It's quite a thoughtful there. Any comments from the panel first, and I'll get back to the audience. Yes, please.
Excuse me, I'll just comment on Dr. Ghazali's comments, because he touched on something very important, and this was part of the questions that we were given before about the sustainability of the waqf. Now, one would ask, should awqaf be profitable in order to be sustainable? Should we, or do we see a conflict between profitability of awqaf and, or a conflict between awqaf as, a charitable sector and its pursuing profitability and growth? Because whenever you would mention the word profitability in Awqaf previously, it has drawn some comments because they see that the word profitability somehow is in conflict or repugnant to some of the trustees. Awqaf, they don't like to hear this. They'd like to hear fi sabilillah, donation, giving, sadaqah jariyah. These are the words, but profitability, making money, this is not within the, let's say, within the mood of the Awqaf trustees to hear about that. But the picture is changing slowly for that. And a key issue to Awqaf is the need for transparency and the assurance of the way assets and resources are managed in the interest not only for the beneficiaries but also for the community as a whole. And at the end of the day, undeveloped Awqaf or underdeveloped Awqaf are just dead weight to the community. And therefore, sustainability is good management, and investment of Awqaf, good investment of Awqaf properties is front and center. Thank you.
Any other comments from this? Yes.
أيضا بالنسبة للكلمة الربحية، طبعا هذه أنا لست أدري ما هو السبب أن نقول أنه ليس للأوقاف حق في الربحية. يعني الربحية حصلت في الماضي وتحصل الآن. لسنا ندري، ممكن لبعد بلادنا نحن عندنا تنظيم الأوقاف تختلف تماما عما أسمعه الآن هنا. مثال ونموذج ماليزيا مثال ونموذج جيد جدا، وهذا موجود أيضا عندنا. حتى عندنا بعض الناس يوقفون الشركات، فالشركة تأتي بالربح. وأيضا إدخال قطاع خاص متواجد عندنا كثيرا، يعني في تقريبا حالتين. في الحالة الأولى مثلا نحن عندنا أراضي كثيرة خالية، فنقدم أرض والشركة تأتي مثلا بالأموال وتبني عليها بنيان، فنحن نحصل على 30 مثلا بالمية من ملكية المبنى هذه. يعني بدل الأرض التي هي أصبحت رخيصة الآن عندنا جدا، حصلنا على ملكية في البنيان التي تسوي تقريبا 10 مرات أكثر مما هي أرض هذه التي آتيناها وقدمناها للشركة. فهذا موجود عندنا كثير. أيضا موجود عندنا BOT، نظام BOT، يعني عمر واستخدم ثم ارجع. نحن نقدم الأرض، الشركة تبني عليها بنيان تستخدمها مثلا 50 سنة، لما تسترجع أموال التي استثمرتها ثم تعيدها للأوقاف. فأرى أنه ربحية هي من جزء من ضمن الوقف، وأيضا إدخال القطاع الخاص موجود عندنا كثير. أما بالنسبة لديمومة الوقف، هذين سببين موجودين. أما سبب ثاني هو أو طريقة لديمومة الوقف هو حماية قانونية، وهذا حاليا لا توجد عندنا في البوسنة. ولذلك كل الدول التي في الماضي أتت دمرت الأوقاف، أخذتها وصادرتها. فسبب رئيسي لديمومة الوقف هو قانون الذي يحمي الوقف، ثم الترويج الجيد للوقف، ثم الدعوة إلى حبس الأفضل الممتلكات. نحن لا نقبل من الواقفين أي شيء، أي وقف. يعني نحن طبعا ندرس دراسة جدوى، هل الأوقاف تأتي بالربح أو ما تأتي بالربح، ثم نقرر هل نقبلها أو ما نقبلها. ثم وضع الأوقاف في الخدمة وتفعيلها، وتحويل الأوقاف أو استبدالها مثل ما ذكره الأخ من سنغافورة. هذا موجود عندنا كثير. الوقف مثلا الذي ليس له مستقبل ولا يأتي بالربح، نحن نأتي بقرار، طبعا بعد الفتوى نأتي بقرار أن نحول هذا الوقف إلى وقف آخر أو شيء آخر التي يأتي بالربح. فهكذا نتعامل ونرى أن هذه الطرق جيدة للتفعيل الأوقاف واستفادتها. ثم هناك استصلاح الأراضي الزراعية، كثير عندنا من الأوقاف في الأراضي. تقريبا سابقا كانت ثلث الأراضي بوسنا كانت كلها أوقاف، فنحن عندنا أراضي كثيرة ونستخدمها ونستصلحها يعني ونعطيها لمن يستطيع أن يصلح الأرض الزراعية.
Can I add on?
Yes, please.
I'd like to thank Dato Razali for his very passionate comments, and I fully agree with you, Dato. I think at the end of the day, about WAF is not about just having good returns or economic performance, but at the end of the day, how can we enhance the spirituality of the Ummah, of the Muslim community? And here, you know, compared to practice of zakat or infaq or sadaqah, the practice of creating waqaf is not as prevalent. So how can we recreate this whole spirit of giving? You know, the man dedicating his substance or his properties or movable, immovable in the cause of Allah, and to benefit the living and development of the socio-religious life of the Muslim Ummah. So I think this is much needed. Whilst we have the welfare state to take care of many things, but the state cannot do everything. And from a minority Muslim community perspective, living in secular countries, we have to do a lot on our own, you know, to fund and to sponsor many of the initiatives at developing the socio-religious life of the Muslim community.
Thank you very much. I will take one more question and I think we need to end it. Yes, please.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Actually, Prof, I would like to...
Can you introduce yourself, please?
My name is Hisham. I'm a faculty member of Darul Hasan University, Bangladesh, currently PhD student ISTEC. Prof, actually, I would like to make a question to you, if you kindly allow as a moderator. I know that you are a promoter of the Waqf University. Last time you have spoken very strongly in Bangladesh about Waqf. I have a few experience in Bangladesh. My university, I am a member of the board of trustees of my university. This university was the Islamic university. So you described the historical background of the Waqf last time I have found. So my question too, one, misusing of the Waqf fund, because this fund is for Allah or people, very sensitive fund. Second, corruption. If we know the modern management is not a corruption free, sometimes the management mechanism knowingly, intentionally related with the corruption, for salary, for benefits, many things. So my question, if you are going to use the Waqf fund for corporate purpose or modern management like private university, medical college or school or bank, anything, so what about our sincerity or the pre-condition about the corruption and misuse? Thank you.
Maybe I will throw back the question to the panel. We talk about good governance, we talk about levers of change. Maybe Tuan Haji, you can elaborate a little bit more on that one.
Yeah, thank you. I cannot overemphasize the need for good governance in the management of Waqf fund or Waqf assets. Men being men, I think we need an authority, a kind of somebody watching to make sure that the processes, the systems, you know, are in place and are implemented according to the trust given to the people who manage the Waqf assets or funds as the trustees. And this is very important, and transparency is very important. So unless you have a good standard of governance, I think it will be very difficult for us to harness the big potential of our Waqf assets. And best practice, good governance, transparency, accountability. I think people would like to know how you had expended or used the net income or net revenue of the Waqf funds. And here, example about trustees making use of the money, then in fact in the code of governance we need to specify what percentage of Waqf revenue can be used as a kind of compensation or reward or remuneration for the trustees to discharge their duties. And here we'll be clear and people understand. Yeah.
But I think on the bottom line, being Muslims, whatever corruption, whatever abuse, is something that we would guard against, regardless whether it's Waqf or otherwise. That would be a standard practice for all Muslims in whatever circumstances it is. I'm afraid I have to end the session now, given that there will be the gala dinners and stuff like that. So can I request you a round of applause for the panelists. I think we've gained a lot from this particular session, and certainly there are many more that we can discuss about this Waqf. It is perhaps the beginning, and we hope we'll have more discussion of this sort in the future. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you to our panel of esteemed speakers as well as our moderator. Ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up our formal sessions for today, but not to forget the gala dinner will be happening at 8 p.m. in Nusa Jaya, and for those who require transport, there is a shuttle service that will begin at 5:30 and it will run every 10 minutes. Thank you and have a great evening ahead.